Morning. How is everyone today? It's a bright sunny day here and we've got a really fun project for you today. We're going to create a couple of crayon shaving cards. Isn't that cool? And it's going to be so easy to put this together. My name is Anna Walker, otherwise known as Felt It, and you usually see me crafting with felt and fiber art, but for the next several weeks until mid-May we're going to come together at 10 o'clock Monday through Friday, and we're going to have an internet create date. And today's project, like I said, is our crayon shaving cards. And without further ado, let's get to it. I'm going to move the camera down and I'm going to turn on the big light and we'll get started. There's the camera, there's the light. Okay, so these are what we're going to create today. We're going to create two of them, but you know what? Once you've got the technique down, you can create as many of these as you can. And the other thing that I'm going to ask that you do, we'll talk about at the end of this, because cards are beautiful to look at, but they're even more fun to receive. So I'm going to encourage you to send some cards to some friends and give them some happy mail, okay? So let me set these aside and go over what we're going to need today. We are going to need a couple of pieces of cardstock. One of them will be used to make cards. The other one will be underneath to protect our table surface. If you're on a table, you can see that I've got a different mat down here. This is an ironing mat that I have. If you don't have one of these, I want you to use an old towel on your table, and then on top of that, you're going to put one of the pieces of cardstock, okay? But before we get to that, let's cut the cardstock. We're also going to need a couple of pieces of parchment paper if you have it. Wax paper should work, but I used parchment paper. We're going to need crayons. Old ones are just fine. And we're going to need a vegetable peeler. We're also going to need some help with an iron on a low setting, so make sure that you've got permission to do that part of the project, or that you have an adult or an older sibling to help you out with that. So, first things first, let's get things set up the way they need to be set up. We are going to have our mat or our old towel. Then we're going to lay down a piece of the parchment paper. And then, nope, we're going to put a cardstock underneath and then the parchment paper, okay? And then the other piece of the parchment paper we'll use for the ironing. This piece of cardstock, we're just using the cardstock underneath the parchment paper to help protect the surface and to make it as smooth as we can when we start ironing. But to make our cards, all we need to do is fold in a hot dog fold our piece of cardstock and hat. Remember, this is a hot dog fold because it looks like a hot dog bun. If we were going this way, it would be a hamburger fold or a hamburger bun. So we're making a hot dog fold. Okay, match up the corners as best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. Push it forward and then fold that edge. And if you've got a marker or something that you can run along the edge to make it nice and tight, you can use that. Then it's just figuring out, okay, am I making 3 little cards? Am I making 2 larger cards? That's totally up to you. I'm going to make 2 larger cards myself. And I'm just going to kind of find the middle of it. If you've got a ruler, you can certainly measure it, but you know, that's pretty close to halvesies. Not bad at all. The next part is the fun part. We're going to do one at a time. We need some crayons, and I've got 3 that I haven't started using yet, and these are the 3 that I used for the sample crayons. You see how I've pulled the paper off the front part of it? That's what we're going to do right now. We're going to make sure that we sort of push it down, get that paper slid down if we can, and then if we can't, we're just going to peel off some paper. And I want you to peel off to probably about the halfway mark. We want to have plenty of room to be able to shave off some colors. I'm going to get this a little bit more Sometimes you can find the seam and it makes it easy to open it up. You guys have peeled crayon papers off before. You know how to do this. And now you have permission to do it. Okay, so we've got it about halfway there. Let's get the blue and the yellow done. And let's get about halfway on those. And I'm not worrying if I drop a little bit of crayon onto the paper because that's the whole point of our project today. So we're just peeling the papers off the crayons. I know, you were told by mom or dad or grandma, don't peel the papers off the crayons. Well, Miss Anna is giving you permission today, okay? Because we need that paper taken off so that we can shave some of that crayon onto our card and make our cool designs. Now this one I was able to push up a little bit, so I was able to grab a hold of that paper just a little easier there. And again, just peeling that paper off. Ooh, this, even better. We're going to get this one completely off, and that is just fine. So if you've got them completely undone, that works too. Next, we need our vegetable peeler. Make sure that you use the one that you've got permission to use from mom or dad or grandma or whoever, because you can use this again for food stuff afterward, but it's going to need to be cleaned very, very, very well. So if you've got an extra one, maybe there's an old one that's not really sharp anymore, that would be perfect to use for crafts from now on. So I'm going to come in with these three colors. I used these three colors for the others that I did for the example. You notice that I am using colors. Two of them are pretty close to each other on the color wheel, and one of them was a little different. Same with this. Two of them were pretty close, and one of them was a little different. That gives us a really interesting pattern, but it's any colors that you want to use. And I'm going to go the darkest colors first, and you can hold your crayon any way that you're comfortable with. Move it around to get globs of color wherever you want them to be. You can go back and forth with the peeler and then shake it off. All right, there's blue. Now let's do some green. Ooh, the green, we're getting really big globs. I like that. We're just shaving as much or as little as we want here. And sometimes a little bit of static will keep the crayon shavings from coming down all the way, but you can get them off with your fingers. Just have a paper towel or a tissue handy. And now we're going to come in and give a pop of brightness with the yellow. Okay, we can put the crayons and the vegetable peeler off to the side. We have our design ready to go here. But are we done with it? Well, that's completely and totally up to you. See this swirly design that I had in here? If you wanted to have a swirly design on here, you could take one of the crayons and you could move the crayon shavings around with it a little bit. You could also take your finger and do that. And what I did on this was I used my finger. So it's totally up to you. I'm just going to take my finger and go over that. Because if you use your finger, I think it gives you a stronger line. And there's our design. So what's next? Well, next we put the piece of parchment paper over the top of it. And we hold it down nice and flat. Then we need to turn our iron on to the lowest setting. And number 1 is all we need it on. It's just going to take a moment to heat up for us. What we're going to do is put the iron over the top of the card, and the heat from the iron is going to melt the crayons into the paper. And then we'll be able to peel the parchment paper off and see our design. And we've already got some heat building up here. So I'm just pressing the iron down. I'm not moving it a lot. at the beginning, I don't want you to move it a lot because that could move the parchment paper around and it could move your design around. And I'm taking a look at it. Oh, it's working nicely. It's melted beautifully, so now I can move the iron around just a little bit more to make sure that we got everything nice and melted. And then I'm going to turn my iron off, set it off to the side. I'm going to let this cool for just a couple of seconds. And then we will peel off the parchment paper and see our card. That almost looks like the Hungry Hungry Caterpillar, doesn't it? That is beautiful. I love the way the colors came together. Let's do another one. Now we want to let these dry and get cool completely. I'm going to lay my other card down, and I think that we should use a different combination of colors for this one. So I'm going to use the red, the orange, and the yellow on this one. And let's see if we can bang off much of the color there. All right, let's get some red on here. This is going to remind me of flowers and springtime and all the bright colors that are coming. Remember, we're just shaving the color onto, oh, we broke our crayon. That's a perfect use for these projects, is broken crayons. All right, now let's get some of this orange on here. I'll try not to press quite so hard. Maybe I won't break this one. And it's just making the design wherever you want that design to be. And now I'm going to come in and finish up with the yellow. I'm going to try and hit some of those spots that haven't got a lot of color in. Just a little bit more here in the corner. All right. Design done, and now I'm going to take my finger again, and this time I think I'm going to make a hug and a kiss. We'll send kisses and hugs to someone that we love. Now it's just putting our parchment paper over the top again, folding it down. Let's turn our iron on to the lowest setting and let it heat up for a moment. And then we'll press it. And we're ready to go. And we'll have a hugs and kisses card to send to somebody. And I know that you can think of lots of people that you could send cards to. Maybe there'll be cards that you'll send in the mail and the postman will pick it up and take it for you. Maybe there'll be cards that you'll take and deliver in person, but leaving them on the door and then waving from the car. We're all doing things a little bit different these days, aren't we? All right, I'm putting it down. I'm just going to let it sit for a moment. It seems like once a week we've got one of these really, really fast crafts going, and today's is definitely one of those fast crafts. Say that 3 times fast. Let's take a look. Ooh, wow. All right. That melted beautifully. Oh, that is so cool. I think we lost some of our hugs and kisses, though, so you might have to write on the inside, sending you hugs and kisses. All right. We are done with our iron. So I'm going to set it aside and turn it off. We're going to let our paper cool just a tiny little bit. And we'll peel off. Oh, wow, those colors are very bright. Very bright indeed. So let me move everything out of the way. And some of the color, because we were using the sheet of parchment for a couple of different projects, it did get some, splatters on it, but that's okay. Those splatters went over to the back. And I think that just adds another beautiful little design element to it. So we have our cards ready to go that we can send to friends or to family, maybe our classmates that we're missing while we're at home doing school for the rest of the year. There's so many people we could send these cards to. So I would encourage you, make a lot of cards. Make as many as mom or dad or grandma will let you make, and get ready to send some cards out to people. Let them have some happy mail from you. Okay? We've got a really nice variety of colors here. I love this, and they make me think of spring. Of course, that'll change depending on the colors that you decide to use, but I love this project, and I love that it's a fast and easy project. So let me turn off the light, and I'm going to turn the camera up, and we will talk about tomorrow's project. Hi. So, our cards are so awesome, and I hope that you make lots and lots and lots of them and send them out or hand them out to the people that you love and that you miss. Tomorrow, we're going to do a circle weaving, and it's going to be very easy to do. We've got a little cardboard frame that we'll use to set it up. We'll need some string to make the warp. The warp is the design that holds the other yarns in place. And then you'll need lots of different kinds of yarns, strips of fabric, anything little extra. I mean, this is a really great way to use up some little pieces of strings and yarns and stuff that you've got. You could even, if you wanted to, use some of your t-shirt strips from our first week of projects. So I hope you'll be with us tomorrow, and I'm so glad that you were here today. And we are going to have fun from now until mid-May, and we're going to make it a wonderful time. We're going to have a great Internet Create date every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Thank you for being here with me. And if you or your parents want to learn more about felting, then you can go to stabthingsintoexistence.com, and you can find out all about felting. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.